We need to call back to something from last episode. I think we talked about it at the tail end of it.
Hmm.
There was take me through generally what you said last week, because what you said turned out to be correct, and I wasn't even familiar with any of it happening.
So that was is it the third episode of the season?
I think so. Ariana Grande.
Ariana Grande. Yeah, I think that was the third episode. I was watching live on Peacock, and they did a sketch, and then next up was supposed to be Stevie's second song. And
Mhm.
then the commercial went, and then it switched back to one of, the Stevie Nicks like bumper for
Mhm.
a while, and I kind of was looking at it, waiting.
Like,
And then
okay,
that kind of
great.
went away, and we went into another commercial break. And
Just a
that lasted
bizarre.
another few minutes, and then it jumped back
Uh-huh.
in, and then they did Stevie's performance, and then the show kind of went on as usual. But then
Mhm.
later on Twitter, I saw someone say something about soundboard issues causing them
Mhm.
to have to swap out the last sketch for the dress rehearsal version.
And that was all true. I don't know how we addressed it before. I didn't mean to cast any doubt. I just had no idea. I was out in Colorado watching that episode live, which every time I'm in Colorado, I'm like, oh, mountain time. Everything comes
Yeah.
on 2 hours earlier. Like, I can still get a good night's sleep after watching SNL. And but because it was so early, like people were still over at the house, we were hanging out, and so I wasn't fully locked in paying
Hmm.
attention. And that whole thing completely escaped me. But I have I've done the research now, as I'm expected to do on this program, and I want to illustrate for the people who might not be familiar with exactly what went down or why or how. Want to take you through at least our best guess, but this seems to be an accurate picture of what went down on the October 12th Ariana Grande show. So the first hour of the show goes by pretty much without a hitch. So here's a look at the last half hour of the program as scheduled. It was supposed to be Ariana Grande as the castrati. It's crazy to say that with a straight face. Into a commercial, Stevie Nicks commercial, live sketch commercial, live sketch commercial. So what ended up happening was Stevie Nicks was slated to go on. They even took the studio feed back live, but yeah, it was some sort of soundboard issue, and I don't really know the specifics of that, but essentially, like, I don't know if they had to do a full reboot. Like, clearly, it wasn't as catastrophic as it seemed because they were
Hmm.
still able to get that performance up. But I remember even, last episode, my takeaway from the Stevie Nicks performance is at least the second song was that the mix was way off.
Yeah.
Something was not right. Like, she was too loud. Her like backup singers were really standing out too, and I was just like, something's off. Now we probably know why and what happened. So they come back from commercial 6 right here. Stevie Nicks no longer goes on in that slot. They have to run two commercials back to back. So they don't take out commercial break number 7. They have to take it anyway, only 55 seconds after the end of commercial 6.
Hmm.
Then the soundboard miraculously returns. So we're able to stage Stevie Nicks. That moves in down here. You still need a commercial break after a musical guest to restage cameras, get cast set up. There's a whole thing that's going into that. Ariana is dressed to introduce and not dressed for a sketch, things like that.
Hmm.
So we still take this commercial 8. So commercial 8 comes out, moves down to right after the Stevie Nicks performance instead of after the Maybelline sketch. When we come back from commercial 8, we go up on the Maybelline sketch as aired, but there's an issue because we're really pushing the end of the show here. There's not enough time to run two more sets of commercials that it's going to take to run the rest of the show as scheduled. The sketch that was supposed to go up after Maybelline was a Cinema Classics, where Ariana Grande plays Judy Garland. So like Reese DeWatt introducing Ariana Grande playing Judy Garland, which would have been incredible to see,
I would love to see it.
but I would still love to see it, honestly. Just find a way,
Yeah.
SNL. Um, but they can no longer take another commercial break here. They're going to need to run 2 sketches back to back. Ariana Grande cannot make the costume change out of Jennifer Coolidge into Judy Garland in time. So the only remaining option here, I don't know if they were fresh out of pre-tapes or what have you, the only remaining option was to put in a sketch from dress rehearsal. Now, you may be wondering, why not put Cinema Classics' dress rehearsal version into the show? Well, I suppose that's cause for discussion. There's 2 options, I think. I think either, because we talked about last time how the sketch that they ended up running had some errors in it. Like we had a visible cue card, and there were some like missed, lines. I don't know if there were missed lines, but it was just not the smoothest. So there could have been technical issues with the Cinema Classics sketch, or it could have been too long. They might not have had enough time to execute the entire Cinema Classics sketch. Because the one that they ended up running, Hotel Detective, came in at about 3 minutes and 10 seconds, but Cinema Classics in the past are usually 5 minutes or more. So if they were worried about running up over time or not being able to make the cuts out of the edited piece, which is tough to do on the fly, then that's just not an option for what they were offered. So then Hotel Detective goes up instead immediately after Maybelline, and this is what we end up with as the show aired on Saturday night / Sunday morning. Really wild. Like, you don't see this happen often.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was Late Nighter that did the full article, like, breakdown of, best they could piece together what happened. And I think they said, like, they have never had to roll in a dress rehearsal sketch like this in like 15 years or more, like maybe almost 20 years.
I mean, I feel like they usually would have a extra pre-tape maybe, or there'd be, in theory, some Please Don't Destroy, something that they could throw in there
something
to
laying
fill the
around.
time. But I guess in this case, there wasn't anything.
Yeah, and I know, like, the late 2000s, they made a habit of repeating, like, commercial sketches a lot, which made sense because they're trying to mirror, like, the actual experience of watching a commercial. You're going to see the same one 4 times probably, but not in the same episode, but across different episodes. But yeah, it was a very, very strange. Interesting scenario so when you ended up watching that live and you caught the whole, like, something's up with this musical performance, did anything throw you about going from Maybelline right into Hotel Detective?
I guess at the time I didn't really clock that was strange, but I don't know that at that point I was paying super close attention.
Yeah.
After
also,
the double commercials and all of that. So I guess it didn't occur to me to be like, oh, how is this live? How'd they, get set for that so quick? But
yeah, and also Hotel Detective did start with, like, a title card and a text screen. So it's conceivable that Ariana could have made that change in 15 seconds or so. They've done crazier things, but yeah, that's what actually happened. The Hotel Detective sketch we watched was not being taped at 12:50 at night. It was taped at about 9:30, 9:45, and rolled in after the fact. So yeah, really just bizarre turn of events. And then obviously they haven't had to cut out of a musical performance. This technically wasn't a cut out of a musical performance, but the last time anything like that happened, where one was supposed to go on and didn't, was Ashley Simpson. So it's been a long time since something like that has happened.
And you hate to see it happen to Stevie.
I know. Of all the people, of all the bookings,
That's the one you kind of want to get right.
Exactly, for sure. But yeah, so excellent catch on that, Caroline. And just another fascinating, like, live TV magic trick that they were able to pull off.
Yeah.
Yeah, something else.